All right. I want to call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Redevelopment Commission on Wednesday, April 17th, 2024. Jeff, would you please read the roll?
Commissioner Martin.
Present.
Commissioner Keesley.
Here.
Commissioner Cassidy.
Present.
Is Commissioner McCarty here? He was going to attend virtually. I don't know if he's on
That's
yet.
what he said.
Yeah, he said he's going to go remote.
Is there something on there about him being on there? I don't think he's here yet.
Okay, and Commissioner Tucker.
Present.
So we have a quorum with three voting members here, and they will let us know when Commissioner McCarty gets here.
Okay. All right. At this meeting, we're going to have one of our semi-annual presentations by the Richmond Bean Blossom School Board, who we support with funding from the TIF district. And they come and report to us periodically on the work that they've been doing with those funds to promote their STEM education programs. So I will turn it over to you. Introduce yourself for the microphone and all that.
Very good. Well, I'm Dr. Jerry Sanders. I'm superintendent at Richmond Bean Blossom Schools, and this is Jennifer Barrett. And Jennifer is our Director of Teaching, Learning, and Ready Schools. And I just want you to hold on to your seats because this has probably been our best year yet.
Really?
Jennifer has, for Mr. Tucker there, a handout, and you can pass it down.
They're supposed to show up on the screen too, right?
There you go, Ears.
Yeah, I don't know if we got it to him in time, so if not, that could be my fault. And Mr. McCarty, if he joins, he has it on his computer.
Yeah, so if TSC, could you get that presentation up?
There you
Thank
go.
you.
Good. All right.
So, anytime, as individuals, when we invest our own money somewhere, or if a company invests their money, they're hoping to get a big return on that money. And I'm here to tell you that the RDC's support of RBB schools is paying back to our communities several times over. Right. And so I just, we're so thankful for all of you, and thankful that you gave us such a solid foundation. And the reason I'm so excited, this has probably been one of my most rewarding years in my 37-year career. And so Jennifer, I'm going to turn the driver's seat over to Jennifer, and then I'm going to jump in here and there.
Okay.
Sounds great. Thank you for having us. It's been exciting because I was actually a part of this from the very beginning. And I remember the very first conversations when I said to our superintendent and our assistant superintendent at the time, do you know what STEM is? And sure. And we all just kind of looked at each other like, I don't really know. It was very new, that acronym to education at the time. Right. And to think where we've come in the last 9 years, 8-9 years, has been really incredible. So we're going to take you through just some pieces of how we've grown over this year. When we come back to you in hopefully August, we will come to you with actual numbers to show how we're meeting the goals that we have set. We want to make sure that our 2024 graduates actually go ahead and we see how everything ends in May and take a look at the diplomas they receive, and that way we can give you some accurate numbers to be able to show you just the type of improvements that we're making year to year. So one huge shift that you'll see here at Richland Bean Blossom Schools is with the support of our school board, we actually have started down this road of becoming a highly reliable system. For business owners, you're probably very familiar with that concept. It's where you're really testing your systems and your structures and determining what works, what doesn't. And then having that continuous progress monitoring piece where you're continuing to look at these and say, is it something that we continue to invest in, or is it something that we can do better with, or is it something that is working really well? There's also a system like this for schools, and it was developed by Dr. Bob Marzano, which if you live here in Bloomington, you're probably very familiar with Bob Marzano. So Dr. Marzano, through years and years of research, he has put together a highly reliable school system that allows schools to be able to go through the process and basically receive certifications starting at level 1 all the way up through level 5. RBB schools right now are working through level 1. So you'll see right here at the bottom of this structure, our RDC partnership and our High Reliability Schools Initiative really is the foundation of everything that we're doing at RBB. We build upon that with everything else. From there, it moves into our Ready Schools Initiative, which we've talked with you guys about for the last 3 or 4 years, our partnership with ROI, and how that's allowed us to really 3 or 4 years ago start to look at our systems in a different way. And then aligning that with additional grants that we receive. And then of course, local partnerships that we have. So I'm gonna kind of break these down a little bit more as we go through this presentation so I can share each piece of this with you. I'm not sure if we can control the presentation. There we go. So the next slide, one thing that we always like to report on for you is just how we've spent those funds. You're gonna see these numbers a little bit higher this time, and that's simply because I gave you numbers starting from the beginning of the school year in August up until today. We typically give you 6 months at a time, but you're definitely seeing more of that here. I wanted to give you a broader range of what a full school year looks like and where those purchases go. So the biggest piece where we've invested, we know that with systems, the right people in the right places truly do make a difference. So we have 4 full-time instructional coaches. I'm including myself in that role. We still have the 2 in the K-5 building and 1 in grades 6 through 8. I work mostly with the high school, and my position this year has expanded into some other areas there other than just coaching. In addition, this year we have really made a push with our student-run businesses. The Innovative Learning Center that we have at the high school that we were able to renovate and make part of our culture at the high school a few years back, our ILC, really is up and running now with ILC Design. So we'll share more with you about what that looks like for our students and our community. We also have the Coffee Corral that is this close to being self-sustainable as a business, which is really exciting to see that happen. Just as a side note, we're really excited if you go to the App Store, if you're Apple or Android, you can actually download the Coffee Corral app. And we just started introducing delivery this week across our campus. So teachers who need that little pick-me-up at 9 o'clock in the morning after they've had their first pot of coffee at home can order and have something delivered straight to their classrooms. So I actually had my first order come in on Tuesday, and it was at a much-needed time in the day. If we could go back to the budget piece, also talking about tools and equipment there, professional learning and travel. Part of that is looking at also how we're building that high reliability school system into Edgewood schools. So we have spent time not just at STEM and PBL related teacher professional learning, but also looking on building those and embedding those pieces into what we do day in and day out. We don't want to talk about STEM as a standalone. STEM needs to be very much what we do and how we teach kids, and it needs to be embedded in those strategies. And then programming fees, you'll see some robotics and PLTW, which is Project Lead the Way in there. You'll actually see some of those numbers come off when we come to you in August, because if you look a little bit further down, we did receive almost a $28,000 robotics grant this year. So that typically comes out of the money that we receive from the RDC. And since we received that grant this year, that will come completely off of RDC, and that will be funded through that grant. So we'll start collecting reimbursements through the state on that here in the next few weeks. In addition, we're wrapping up a $63,000 grant that we received from the state. That'll be wrapped up by the end of this school year. That's what we call our 3E grant, Explore, Engage, and Experience. Again, that's building student-run businesses. Talking about career exploration experiences all the way down in kindergarten, just thinking about how we're preparing kids after they leave 12th grade. Another one that we received at the beginning of this year, and we'll take everything that we can get, is a digital fabrication grant from Regional Opportunity Initiatives. This is the same program that we've been working with for Ready Schools, And what I love about this is not something that we ever submitted for. They actually came to us and said, we recognize what you're doing and you're just on the cusp of pushing those student-run businesses to the point that they are incredibly viable in your community. Here's the money to go ahead and do that the rest of the way. And man, did we take advantage of that and have done some really amazing pieces since then. You'll also see that a part that I'm really excited about, our school board just approved an expansion to ILC Designs. So we're investing another almost $178,000 into the ILC Designs at the high school and continuing to expand that for our students. So we're adding a print shop, which means that for our community members, actually we're getting ready to take a swag bag to Bloomington Economic Development Commission here in the next couple weeks. With their new logo in place, they've asked us to show what we can do. So they're getting a swag bag with all of the things that we can make for them that they can share with consumers and employers here in Bloomington. So that's an exciting piece that we have going on there at our high school. Kind of moving ahead through that, I have just a few pieces on there as far as graphics for the high reliability school system. Sometimes if you're visual like I am, it helps to be able to see what those levels actually mean. So right now, as I said, we are working on level 1, which is safe, supportive, and collaborative culture in our buildings. I think we would all agree that in a school, safety 100% is the biggest piece there that we focus on day in and day out. And then from there, we will build into working on that effective teaching in every classroom. So again, those research-based strategies. And in addition to that, those strategies with STEM that we know make such a difference in engagement for our students and preparing them for down the road with problem solving, critical thinking, whatever occupation they may choose to go into. So those will also be a piece of that, that rubric as we're building that into our classrooms as well.
And the whole reason why we are going with high reliability schools, as you know, a successful business is one where the customers can rely, they can count on. When they walk into a specific business, they know what kind of service they're going to get. They know what kind of product they're going to get. And one of the issues that school corporations face when there's a change of leadership is if a new superintendent comes in or a new principal comes in, then they want to bring in all their own ideas, and all that the school's been working on in the last few years goes out the window and you're starting all over again. So this is going to sustain everything we're talking about tonight and more. This is going to sustain it for years to come, long after I'm gone. And I mean, Jennifer will be there a lot longer than I will, but after she's gone, this is going to sustain that for many, many years.
He says that like he's retiring sometime soon. I hope he doesn't get that R word in his head. So moving on just a little bit, you'll see the next slide is just talking about Ready Schools. And I know that we come to you and we talk about Ready Schools a lot because it's very much a part of who we are. I'm sure that you've heard of our graduate profile, and if you look a little bit further down on that page, you'll see an example of our graduate profile. Again, this comes from our business leaders, people who we bring into our school district, and we ask them, what can we do to prepare students for you when they leave Edgewood schools? And it's not just about the certifications we can give them. It's not just about the diploma that they walk out with in their hand. It truly is about the mindsets that we create. It's about the skills that we can give them, those soft skills. So where you see here with the graduate profile are those 6 areas: critical thinking, innovation, collaboration, communication, resilience, and compassion. And those are all areas that we are incredibly focused in how we prepare students for that next level. If you turn to the next page and we look at the next slide, you'll see this year that we've developed a term called Edgewood Ready. So we're taking Ready Schools and we're really owning this piece and saying, what does it mean to be Edgewood Ready? Like Dr. Sanders said, when a student or a parent comes in and they say, what can I expect from a 3rd grade teacher at Edgewood Intermediate? I want to be able to say to them, it does not matter what teacher you have in 3rd grade. The result and the outcomes should still be the same. Now, how we get there, we all know that's going to look a little different. But this is an example of what an Edgewood Ready 3rd grader should look like. These are the math essential standards that we'll focus on, English language arts. Within our graduate profile, you'll notice the theme.
Excuse me a second.
Yes.
You're a slide ahead of the screen. Next slide on the screen.
Yeah.
Tech.
Yes, go one more for me. Thank you.
Oh, where'd we go?
One more. There it
There we
is.
go.
Thank you. So what you'll see here within that graduate profile is, you know, we can talk about science and technology and engineering and math all day long and how we embed those. But the pieces that really come along with that are the innovation. They are the creativity. And so that's where we're building those from kindergarten up. And there's an intentionality about every single thing that we do. So notice here in that graduate profile for 3rd grade, we say that kids can use a variety of tools to share thoughts, ideas, and information. And so as teachers are creating units in 3rd grade, this is an area where they're thinking about how can I assess whether or not students in my classroom can actually do this, and do this to a level that we would expect a 3rd grader to be able to do that. You'll also notice off to the side social emotional. I think we would all agree in today's day and age that it is important. It is incredibly important, and we put a lot of stress and a lot of weight on kids' shoulders, and a lot of times they buckle from that. And so the social emotional piece here is incredibly important. So we also embed those pieces in our learning for our kids every single day. If you move to the next slide.
Just a second.
Yes, absolutely.
So you have one of these Edgewood ready cards or outlines for each grade level?
K through 8, yes.
Okay. And do they fit into any kind of reward system or program of determining how the kids get placed or anything like that?
Not particularly how kids are placed. There's a lot that goes into those placement decisions. Obviously, these being the essential pieces that we want kids to be able to do, we're constantly monitoring those. So it does determine if we see a student is unable to complete these tasks up to a 3rd grade level, they would certainly be receiving, say, reading interventions. If we have a student who is dysregulated during the day, having a really tough time being able to control and be a productive part of that classroom, it might be that our SEL team is meeting with that student on a regular basis, or that family on a regular basis. What this allows us to do is, this is the measure where we want all kids to be.
Okay.
Where kids may not be, that allows us to provide supports to bring them up to that. Where we are, where kids are above that, that tells us where we need to provide enrichment to those kids and continue to keep them engaged at those high levels.
Okay.
So this is kind of that bar that we've set for all students.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. The next piece here is a piece that's near and dear to my heart because I've spent so much time this year working on this. I have a freshman daughter, an 8th grade son. If you're not familiar with how things have changed in Indiana in terms of high school, it has been mind-boggling over the last few years, and it's getting ready to change again. Diplomas are about to look very different than what we are used to. And one of the pieces that Dr. Jenner, our state superintendent, has really opened up is ways for students to create their own pathway as they go through high school. You know, they reach the end of high school, we know that they're either going to enroll in a college, they're going to enlist in the military, or they're going to go straight into the workforce. And so we need to make sure that we give them plenty of preparation for whichever direction they choose to take. Starting next year, we will have 15 next level pathways at Edgewood High School. We are actually leading the way in our area with the opportunities that we're able to give to our students. This is in addition to what our students are able to receive at Hoosier Hills Career Center. These 15 that you see right here are actually offered on site by our own Edgewood High School teachers. And what's exciting is we haven't had to hire one additional teacher to make this happen. It's just been creative thinking in terms of how we can change certain pieces and be able to provide these to kids. So what I love about this is you see a variety of pieces here. You see agri-science, you see biomedical, computer science, culinary arts, engineering, hospitality, nutrition. These are pieces that I feel like, and know from feedback from our 8th graders, that they're excited about. In the past, pathways have been only required for those students who are not graduating with an academic honors diploma. What we're trying to help kids understand at Edgewood is that pathways are not just a diploma requirement, a graduation requirement. It's a way for them to dig in and get a depth of knowledge in an area that they may be interested in down the road. And so what we're finding is that students, even with those academic honors diplomas, are saying, I think I might want to go into nursing, or business might be, you know, an area that I'm interested in with finance. And so they're signing up for these classes because at the end of these classes, freshman, sophomore, junior year, it gives them an opportunity for a capstone course, an internship, an apprenticeship, whatever that might look like for them. So it's pretty exciting, and you can see off to the side those 24, 25 numbers. The parts for me that are most exciting, look at those engineering numbers. 40 students signed up for Introduction to Engineering, 21 students in computer science, 60 students. It shows that what we are doing K through 8, the investments that we are making in STEM are truly paying off, that kids are coming to high school and saying these are areas that they're interested in. And just from a female perspective, I will say about half of those are young ladies, so I'm very proud of that. Moving on from there, again, working with our students, our teachers, and our community. I'm going to move on to the slide that talks about working with our teachers and just kind of go through multiple ways that we're doing that. We are still working on PBL. A district-wide goal is that all of our teachers are trained to understand what project-based learning looks like. Just to give you a little story on that, today Dr. Sanders and I walked outside about 11:15. We had a group of a class out there, Advanced Animal Science, and they were working with a community partner. A lady named Barb brought her dog in. The dog was a search and rescue puppy and was going through training. She read about our ILC designs in the Herald Times, and she reached out to our teacher and she said, I don't know what else to do. You're kind of my last resort. I have a puppy who was bitten by a copperhead snake and has had multiple issues since then. Obviously, she's no longer in training to be a search and rescue dog, but Barb wants to give her quality of life. And so those students have been working on a plan with Barb, and today Tana, the puppy, came. They were able to film her as she was running in the yard to see her gait. And we will then be designing and building with our 3D printers a new support for Tana's leg because what's on the market right now does not allow for the shape of what's going on with the joints and everything in her leg. So our kids are coming up with the solution to Tana's medical issue and hopefully prolonging her life and the quality of her life even more. So it's just one example that happened today, and just what project-based learning can really, the opportunities that it can afford our students to be able to do. We also just consistently talk with teachers about that making mindset. It's not about teaching out of a textbook all the time. It's about thinking about how we can create that mindset in our teachers so they can build that in our kids. It's technology integration. We know we live in a world of it. It's working with our coaches, focusing on those research-based instructional strategies. The 15 next level pathways you saw up there, we're working closely with our junior high to make sure that our electives align with those pathways. We want them to get a small taste of that for a semester when they're in junior high so that they know kind of what they want to go into their freshman year, and they may try it out and they may hate it, and that's okay too. I'd much rather them do that their freshman year of high school than their freshman year of college when it's quite expensive at that point in time. Another exciting piece, and I think Dr. Sanders may talk a little bit more about this, is we actually dissolved a position at RBB this year going into next year. Brittany Tucker's communications job, she's our communications director at RBB, is now going to be absorbed into Brittany's marketing classes. So our students will be actually taking care of all the communications for RBB. They'll be handling our website, our social media, all of our flyers, anything like that. They will also take care of our student-run business marketing. So that is an exciting piece where we really truly talk about, not just talk about, but where we're walking the walk of students taking on those types of jobs.
Yeah, so just like the local citizen who saw an article in the HT about what we're doing in the ILC, and she reached out to us. That's happening more and more. So the marketing team, they are working with local businesses and developing, creating flyers, brochures. So they're being contacted just like any other business in the community about needs that our community have, that our businesses have. And I had a gentleman that I have known for a long time that owns a company that rents out bounce houses and such. And I saw on Facebook that he was reaching out to, does anybody know where he could go and get a flyer made for his company? So I called him up and I said, I know somebody. And so the whole marketing class worked on some ideas. They sent him samples. He made some adjustments, and he got his flyer that looks very professional.
Right. That's wonderful.
We're also doing marketing for a firm out of Kentucky. The lady that works locally with them, she said, I just need some ideas on how to get more marketing out to my customers. And so she came into class and it became a project for them, and now they do all of that for her. So thinking about our students and the pieces that we have in place there, we continue with safety and certifications, Project Lead the Way, modules K through 12. I'm excited about next year we'll be offering robotics actually during the school day. This year we had 17 junior high teams competing throughout the year. 68 kids signed up for robotics. But an interesting piece is that what we've been told by students is they have to choose between robotics and athletics because both are after school pieces. And so what ends up happening is kids are choosing these paths very early on. And so Kelly Grimes at our junior high said, no more of this. So next year we're investing in a different type of classroom robot so that students can actually take that as an elective in 7th grade. And we're hoping to have that in 8th grade as well. So those kids who want to participate in other after-school pieces still get an opportunity to learn how to code and participate in robotics during the day. We're really looking to expand and hit more students with that opportunity above all else there. In addition, as I said, those student-run businesses are growing by leaps and bounds. Next year, we'll be doubling the number of students working in those, and by working, I mean interning in some way. It may be that they are running the finances. It may be that they are working on the marketing side of it. It may be that they're creating the recipes for the coffee corral, making sure that they fall in alignment with the national requirements. It may be that they are running CNC routers out of ILC Designs or running our new DTF printers. It's really exciting. We have opportunities even with our special education classes and opportunities for them to become involved in those businesses. That's an awesome way for them to be on site and still learn professional responsibilities that they can take on. Working within our community, Dr. Sanders expanded our Business Leaders Advisory Panel this year. Man, have we had a really good time with that in some of those meetings. We continue to partner with the Success School here in Monroe County, and next year we will be rolling out a new internship program at the high school, matching students with employers out in the community so that it's a win-win for both. Instead of our kids going out and trying to network and find those employers, we've actually brought our employers and our partners with us and said, let's start this the other way around. Let's go through interviews and let's make sure this is a win-win for everyone. So big things looking ahead, next steps with all of that. If we go to that next slide on there. As I said, we're going to be rolling out these 15 next level pathways. Just to give you an idea what a difference this is.
We're on the ding-dong break.
Yep, there we go.
Okay.
We live behind a church in Ellettsville, so we get this every hour, I understand. So just to give you an idea what a difference it is with 15 next level pathways, we have 4 this year. So we have added 11 for next year with 2 more looking at adding on in 25, 26. So those are exciting increases and exciting changes for us. We also are increasing the availability for
Advance the slide, please.
certifications. Thank you. for Adobe and some other career applicable software. One of the things that we got feedback on from parents and from students is that they wanted to be able to receive certifications with software or applications that students will actually use beyond high school. So that's allowed us to take a look at what we're currently implementing, and we're changing how we are, or some of the programs that we're using with kids, because we want them to learn those pieces early, certify on those, and be able to use them beyond high school. ILC Designs just presented along with the Coffee Corral last week at the Work-Based Learning Conference over in Brown County. We had 3 presentations and 25 students over there. We're getting ready to host our 4th school in a couple of weeks, coming to see what we're doing. So what's exciting is what you've invested in is not just helping the Edgewood community. We've had Bar Reeve come and visit, Northeast Du Bois. We got a visit from Greencastle schools. So it's exciting watching what we've done and what we've learned expand into these other communities as well. And even though I wouldn't put this out to our administrators and our teachers because I don't want to put too much pressure on them, but the goal is that all of our buildings are level 1 HRS certified by the end of next year. So we're pushing them pretty hard right now to make sure that that foundation is in place, because we're pretty eager to move on to level 2 where we can dig into the really fun stuff.
I'd like to just talk about student-run businesses real quick. I know we're taking up a lot of your time, but when we say student-run businesses, we mean student-run businesses. So we have a student who is in charge of paying the bills, keeping the books, and he really holds a tight line for spending. One of my favorite products in the coffee shop was smoothies. So I went to order it the other day. It's not on the menu. I wasn't too happy with that, so why are smoothies not on the menu anymore? Well, they did their homework, and the price of fruit is so high that it's not feasible for them to make any money off of selling smoothies, so they took it off the menu.
Jackson, cut it.
They do surveys with our students and staff on what are the most popular products. And then the app that they created, which Mr. Tucker has it on his phone.
Yeah,
and so one of our students created the content in the app.
Really?
And it is so easy. All you do is go in there, pick your drink, you pay for it, and it's delivered to you.
Okay.
And it's very quality, very professional looking.
Cool.
The last thing is, and this is what's really cool, you've all attended conferences before where you have a room full of adults and you have a speaker or speakers up in front of the group talking about a specific topic. Well, last week we participated. We had about 25 students go to a student-run business conference that was held in Brown County. And I have a video, but I'm not going to show it to you. It'd be too hard to get it up there now. But the video shows a gym full of tables with 250 students. Wow. Students. And up speaking to them were 5 students from Cardinal Manufacturing, which is a student-run business in Wisconsin. And students are talking to students about business strategies, marketing, all kinds of areas related to business. And it just blew my mind that we have students talking to students about these important topics. So a lot of these ideas are coming from our students.
Good.
And I, just in closing, you were there when we first started this partnership, and we started talking about STEM. And I hope you could see from that point until now how we're taking that STEM and just expanding it. And going back to what I said in the opening comments, hopefully you see where your dollars or taxpayer dollars are maximizing the impact that we're having not only on students but our whole community.
just to follow up on that, when we meet with other schools and they say, how in the world where did you start? You know, that's always a question, where do you start? And one area that is always hard for schools is finances. We know that. Where does it come from? And in a lot of ways, this commission has been our guardian angel with us, because we would have never been able to get to this level with our students without this piece behind it. As great as the people are who are working this day in and day out, we still need money to be able to do that. We know that's how the world operates. And so, you know, when we say to other schools that this is how we started, they just shake their heads in just disbelief, like, how in the world? And so we do not ever forget where that came from and how this started and how it's continuing, because we are able to work at a pace that most schools are not, and it's because of this for sure.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do. As you increase these pathways, we obviously run the risk of focusing people too soon on a particular path and eliminating the opportunities that elementary education provides for broad education and broad experiences. So how are you going to maintain that introduction of all of these other opportunities when you're kind of pushing them into one?
Yeah.
I would like to know what your strategy is there.
Sure, absolutely. That's a great question. I may actually answer it from a parent perspective, because I just actually went through enrollment or registration with both of my high school students, a sophomore and a freshman. My son actually, I can't even believe I'm admitting this, but he's not taking a principal's course next year, because he just told his counselor and he told his mom, I don't really know yet what I want to do, but I know that I'm taking Algebra 1, I know that I'm taking advanced biology, I know that I'm taking honors English, and I feel like my shoulders can only handle so much. And so our counselors are doing a really great job of helping kids balance the load that is already there with these expectations as well. My daughter is going to be a sophomore, and the biomedical pathway was not available to her last year, and it will be available to her as a sophomore. She's thinking about going into nursing. I don't know if it's the right fit for her or not, but she's going to try out the first biomedical course next year and see if it is. And if it isn't, that's okay. She may take a different principal's course when she's a junior, and she may start something else there. What's nice also is as our kids head up into their junior and senior years, you tend to see more options for electives. And so what ends up happening there is they can explore different classes here without necessarily taking a full pathway. If that student is an honors student, will graduate with an honors diploma, they don't have to put that check in the box, and they can say, you know, I want to take a principal's class here, and I want to take the second class of nutrition over here because I want to combine that. Maybe down the road I want to do something that has to do with therapy in some way, so I'd like to get a little taste of both. So our counselors are well trained in this area so that they understand how we can build these into kids' schedules individually and not trying to make kids fit into a box.
Yep.
And in the past, I think you've seen these students trying to get into their pathways when they're in college. All three of my kids ended up with a degree in something other than what they started in. So hopefully we're giving them experiences at the high school level to learn what they like and don't like. And we, I firmly believe that when these students get into college, it's going to save them and their parents money because they've already gone through that experience of trying to figure out what they want to do in life.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Anything
Well,
else?
pardon me, I look like I wasn't following, because I can't hear you very well, I was watching what you
Reading
were
it on there,
saying,
yes,
so
yes.
I just want to explain that.
Sure. Well, once again, thank you very much, and you're always welcome to reach out. You're always welcome to come visit. Yeah.
Hey, I was just going to see, I know it's not part of what we're here tonight about, but if you could just maybe broach, because that's one of the pathways about the new primary school and the daycare for our faculty and classified staffs. That's going to be a
Right, so-
big help for this area.
So we have 2 major construction projects going to start this summer, and one of them is the 3rd phase of for our preschool. Phase 1, we used to have it out on the facility on 46. We moved that on our campus into EPS. That was year 1. Year 2, we built onto EPS some classrooms for a temporary location for our preschool. And then this summer, we're going to start on a preschool that will double the size, because right now we have about 100 in our preschool and we have 100 on the waiting list. So we're going to be able to double that, and we're going to add a piece in there in this facility for daycare. Because several of our teachers over the last several years have had to quit because they don't have childcare. So we're going to provide an area for childcare, starting out just for staff, and to be able to have a place that they won't have to worry about childcare. And our preschool actually has moved to the highest level, level 4, which is a national accreditation now. And so that continues to expand and grow.
Good.
And I know you said, Brett, how does that connect to the pathways? If you notice one of those pathways on there, it's the early education pathway. So next year, they will actually start at EHS with a teacher. The following year in 25-26, we actually want to move those classes over to our preschool daycare so that they can actually learn on site with the kids. So it's pretty exciting to have this pathway coming down the line in conjunction with the new building itself.
Well, thank you very much for your report. We enjoy one of these sessions as much as anything that we do. It's a lot better than talking about streets and roads.
It's nice to see that the money that's being contributed to the school corporation is being put in such a way to take our students and our citizens for the future and building them up into something that when they get to that pathway of military, college, apprenticeships, and the workforce, that they have those bases prepared from an early age when the mind is still going.
That's right.
And they can pick those things up that they have that passion about. And you're making this type of money that's being gone into this is what helps prepare our citizens for the future in our community. My hat is off to you for everything done. And as an Edgewood grad, and I look here and I see the choir situation, it's like we're taking it into the business standpoint too. The things we excel from and move it into things that, you know.
They need to understand where that starts.
And
it still is a
the
business.
STEM to STEAM, you've got it covered in all the pathways. My hat's off to you guys for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you
Keep
so
up the
much.
good work.
All right, we appreciate
We
you guys.
appreciate it.
Your vision of what you do.
Okay, moving on with our agenda. Yes, Clark, go ahead. No, that's fine.
That daycare is going to be nice.
Please state your name so everybody knows.
Good afternoon. My name is Clark Greiner. I'm the Business Development Director for the Bloomington Economic Development Corporation. I'm also part of the Executive Board for the Ellisville Chamber. And I am here first to really show support and appreciation, express our appreciation for the Richmond Bean Blossom School District and their leadership that they have so roundly exhibited here today. I recently attended and was asked to attend a business advisory meeting about their innovative learning center out there. And I've got to tell you, I was incredibly impressed, not just with the facility itself and the equipment, but again, the leadership, the faculty, staff, and especially the students. They really have an outstanding program that's going on there. And I would encourage, if you haven't had a chance to get out there and visit them, to really go out there and do it. They will show you all the ins and outs of that. It's a very strong program. And so it's amazing, and I think they're really creating a legacy of learning out there, and something vital for our community. Their Ready Schools initiative is part of a key program for workforce development, and one of the things that I think is vital to explain as I look at my job and my business that I have to take care of is I was in Nashville, Tennessee this last week at a site selector guild one of the #1 concerns from site selector consultants that when they come into a community and look at that, one of them right now, one of the top ones is talent, workforce, and then workforce development programs. So they're not just looking at necessarily, you know, where the types of programs that you have, but how your program is actually developed and how it's formed and what it means to that and how they enter into the workforce. So it's also those soft skills and making sure that they're applying those right, and those are vital for our current employers and for the new employers that we're trying to attract within our community. So I think those are all very, very important things. So again, I just wanted to say I think the Richmond Bean Blossom School District is an asset to our community, and I wanted to make sure that we express our support for what they've done and all that they do and will continue to do. We kind of heard commitment of that today. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Ellettsville fire update.
Yes, there are really two different things we're talking about with Ellettsville and the fire. One is we were going to help them in partnership really with Ellet. Oh, is it too low?
Can't hear you.
Is that better?
That's probably better.
Okay.
I'll watch the monitor.
One is that we had discussed, and we had in the budget probably a year ago, the renovations to their parking lot at their fire station, as well as the doors, the fire station doors. And so I've been working with their attorney, Darla Brown, on both of these issues. So we're going to try to get an agreement put together for your next month to get that in. I think the cost is going to be lower than what they had requested. And a lot of that has to do with how they're thinking of transitioning to a new facility, so they don't want to do the full tear out and replacement of the parking. So pretty happy with the reduction there. I think it's going to be significant. And the second one is the fire truck. And so I'm working with both Darla Brown and the Financial Solutions Group, who is our advisors, and we're trying to get a better definition on when the truck will actually be there, and you know the payments based on that, because those are kind of the key factors. And so we've been working on both of those. That agreement may take a little bit longer than the fire station upgrades themselves, but we are working with them, and I would expect those should be resolved hopefully by the end of summer. The lead time on the fire trucks is baffling, and it probably has always been baffling, but I've never really had to deal with it before. But 3 to 4 years to order a truck.
The experience I've had with getting fire trucks, there's some delay in something with that. It just seemed, I remember when I was on the city, we had all kinds of delays. So it's not unusual. Thank you, though.
Okay. Affordable housing update. Any new news?
No, we are still trying to get the sewer and wastewater system decided, and trying to figure out a path for that to work. I met with the current owner of the property we're talking with and Habitat earlier this week. And so we're going to meet with the City of Bloomington Utilities to see if we could figure out a way where they will serve this. They do have a moratorium on anything outside city limits at this point, so we are not overly optimistic, or are definitely not saying it's a definite thing that will happen, but we are going to explore that. We also reached out and got some ideas for other ways to address that. We talked with Rick Kopic and Connor and with South Central Regional Sewer District, and I don't remember Connor's last name, but we talked with them about what maybe some alternatives are, and they gave us, well, we've seen this happen here and this happen there, and so we're running some of those things down. So that's really where we're at with that project at this point.
Okay.
What's our time frame we need to deal with that, where we're not losing any funding opportunities? Is that something?
We are needing to get that resolved really soon in order to not.
Fairly expeditious. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and as I said, holler, since I sit on the Board of Trustees.
Yes.
Okay. I did not see that we received any minutes. Is that
I did
correct?
not get the minutes completed,
Okay.
so.
So we will defer that.
Till next month.
All right, claims. We have 4 claims for this month. There's a claim from Old National Wealth Management for $800. This is an administrative fee that we pay to them periodically. There's a claim from American Structure Point. This project, which project is this for? This is for the bridge, isn't it?
Forward.
Doesn't this have something to do with the, this is Fullerton Pike. Oh, this is, okay, this is the southern end of the county, the Fullerton Pike area.
Yes.
Then there's an Indiana Railroad one for a small amount. I'm sure that has to do with the overpass that needs to get put in. And then there's a small bill from Yasmin Stump, which is probably has to do with land acquisition for the overpass project.
We should be about done with that, shouldn't we?
What?
We should be about done with that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty close. I mean, the bills are getting smaller. The agreements are all done. You recall last month we sent money to the state to move things along. So unless there is some major hiccup along the way, I think that the bulk of the activities now are just getting the project paid for as it goes along. Okay. The total of the claims are $6,340.95. Do I have a motion to approve the claims?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims for this month to Old National Wealth Management for $800, American Structure Point for $5,164.53, American Railroad Company for $314.47, Yasmin Stump Law Group PC for $61.95 for a total of $6,340.95. Jeff, would you please call the roll?
And I would just note for the record, I'm looking at the screen and I see Colin McCarty's name, so he is here.
Oh, he is here now. Good.
Yes. So Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kiesling,
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy,
Yes.
Commissioner McCarty.
It did say.
Well,
Click it.
Chatted.
I did not hear it, but I can read the screen, and it indicated that he was.
There he is. Do a thumbs up.
So motion is approved 4-0.
Thank
He
you.
just did it. He proves it.
I'd say it's 5-0. Okay,
Not sure what the thumb meant.
the thumb net.
Hopefully.
All right, any more staff comment?
Lisa Ridge unfortunately wasn't able to make it tonight, but she did send me along with some project updates, which I will give to you.
Excellent.
The Vernal Pike Connector Road, the project is underway, and the first progress meeting was held on April 9th, 2024. The Fullerton Pike Phase 3, that project is also underway. The public meeting was held on March 25th, and that apparently went extremely well. The Karst Trail / Liberty Drive connection, they had their first progress meeting on April 9th. They met with the Public Investment Corp for a right-of-way entry across, or access for the project. That meeting went well, and they expect to have that right-of-way entry form in the next couple days, and the project is under construction.
Okay, good.
And I have no additional comment.
Okay, all right, we're done with the staff. Any commissioner comments? Brad, you want to start? Any further comments today?
No, I just would think, one thing I was going to mention, that if you looked at that breakdown on that, the financing for the different things, the money that the RDC provides helps with definitely with the baseline, because that gives ladies like her time to write the grants to get that other money. Because there's about $100,000 worth of grants that she paid for her salary from the grants that she's given. Somebody's got to do it though. It takes time. So thank you for the support.
Randy?
No, nothing. The only question I have in regards to anything is, when we see these kind of things with the with the community and the schools. This is the type of things that make what we do worthwhile. We put the money right back in.
Yep.
As we look at these projects, and you brought up a very good point on that, Richard, in regards to it's more exciting than the roads and the bridges and the things. And while the infrastructure is important, when we look at our overall human capital that we have in our community and how we take some of these redevelopment monies as we look at other TIF areas or how these TIFs are enhanced from a dollar, how we look at how we put those either into the schools or into the things that help build that community from a business standpoint, from a quality of life, and from a building of the citizens of the future. And with that, I don't know how we can always take our dollars to do that, but that seems, after hearing this, one of the more critical things we should always look at from a redevelopment standpoint.
Yep.
Not just always the physical infrastructure, but the citizen infrastructure that we're helping to build.
Right.
Absolutely. Colin is coming in. Does he have, you have something to say, Colin?
You're muted. Can you unmute Colin? Your microphone should be on, it says.
Give me one moment. He's unmuted, but there might be another issue. Hang on.
We seem not to be able to hear you.
Just a sec.
He's talking, but we can't hear him. Okay.
That's the way it goes.
All right. And I have no further comments.
The only thing I'd like to add is that investing in human capital is so important if we're going to be successful all the way around.
Oh,
We can't
yes.
do anything if we don't do investing in what we heard this morning.
Yes.
And if there's more to be done, let's do it.
Yep.
I'm sorry to say that there are other parts of our government that's not doing that. So.
Well,
It's
I
just
will tell you, I'll give you an interesting,
Yeah.
I'll give you one other thing, anecdote. I sit on international committees that deal with this concept of smart cities.
Yes.
And we have noticed that many different nations have created smart cities programs, but they all tend to be IT oriented. Physical infrastructure and IT. Yet one of the organizations that I belong to has found that this lack of a human focus to smart cities is becoming a real problem in how we identify the equitable distribution of infrastructure. And we are now beginning to try and address that specifically because we have throughout the world tremendous differences in
Right, we do.
physical capabilities and in social cultures, and you really need to think about a human-centric notion of what it is to be a smart city, not an IT, information technology notion of what it is to be an IT. And this one organization that I'm with is kind of started to lead that, and that has now grown into a broader international effort to change the focus of how we think about what the notion of smart cities is. And I thought I would share that with you because it's a pretty interesting group since I work with people all over the world in that area. So it's very interesting.
Excellent.
You have something?
All right, is there anything else? Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. I think we have covered everything. Iris moves, Randy seconds, we're adjourned.